y'all, I'm going to try and keep this from going over like an hour, but I'm also thinking I'm going to take off these glasses. I'm tired of seeing the glare myself. Tonight's the 6th episode of PValley. It's titled Legacy. I think the theme of tonight should be duress. What we will do when pushed into duress, what we will do under duress, and how does duress play out in our communities. To quote Mississippi, because she says it tonight, black girls don't bruise. I can cut my eyes a lot harder. Not only do black women bruise, dark as I, darker than me, all shades, but we live and survive and sustain a lot of stress, duress, and trauma. It's something I've actually said before for a case of child abuse because the child was much fairer in skin tone on the other scale, the hue shades, and the parent was much darker. And the parent brought a valid question to the table, and you better believe I ran it home. Y'all only care because this child is light skinned. Because had she been my shade or darker, you wouldn't have noticed and you wouldn't have cared. Tell me I'm wrong. Show me where that bruise just identifies such a neglectful lifestyle or abusive household. You have to have more elements here to meet that standard. And that's what tonight's episode really showed. We got a lot of caveats going, so let's get started. Y'all, minute 30 in, and you know I was excited. My mom actually sat in and watched a few minutes. I think she watched the whole episode. But that pickle with the peppermint in it, that Chico stick, and I hate Chico sticks. Ooh, I didn't like them as a child. I don't understand why anybody wants it. But I'm particular. I like hard candies. But I'm a grown woman still with a give me a pickle and a Jolly Rancher now that, pickle and a blow pop. Ooh, that pickle and that peppermint. I was like, ooh, yes, I know I'll be gushing. Y'all, I know I'm girl crushing on Miss Katari Hall. And I hope that I'm saying her name right by now since she tweeted me. I know, I'm tickled. I'm a little too tickled. And she actually followed me. It's my only follower on Twitter. So if you have time, swing by. I am Justice Joyce. I know you'll eventually get legal coverages, and I'm pretty sure I may blow up a little more once I start answering legal questions, no matter where you're located, long as it's within the jurisdiction of the United States of America, the 50 states and the territories. I will try to address some of the questions you may have, point you in the directions you can go. But back to PValley episode 6. We open with Mercedes and Autumn at the tennis court watching teenage Terica trying to play tennis. And Terica's stand-in mom is gossiping with some of the other ladies, and Mercedes comes over to talk to her. And she just looks so in love. You know what I mean? It's like when some guy is trying to court you. Yeah, let me say it properly. When they trying to court, I know we may not always see it nowadays, courtesy of Tinder and Bumble and whatever other website you use, probably Plenty of Fish. But it does happen when you can see people getting flustered in their feelings, and that's what happened. So Mercedes comes over to let her know, like, hey, I'm still your mama. Don't be disrespectful. She's like, you can't even be my mama on the weekend. Y'all, I have never had this experience. I'm rubbing my eyes hard, but I'm going to tell you now, the grace of God has to walk with you, not to snatch a child, even if they, are hurt, wounded, rightly so. No one's diminishing their pain. No one's diminishing their hurt. But like Terica said, I saw you on the TV news. You're right. You saw me go to jail fighting with this woman. And I'm so glad Sadie said it to Terica's mom, who stepped over and was like, you know how Patrice is. Y'all, we all have that family member or friend that you can clearly just say the word. You know how that person is. There are people who goad you. There are people who poke nerves. There are people who pull skin back very softly on a new scab and make it worse than it has to be. But honey, I don't know if I'd be out of jail. $20,000 of my money for your church. That still doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm too practical. Maybe I'm too pragmatic. But again, hey, Sadies, since you're trying to get this building for dance, y'all ain't gonna use it like that. Let me run church services on Sunday and Wednesday night. That's it. Why can't we just work together and not just be like, oh, it's all mine and you go over there and that's it and you ain't got to have nothing. But also maybe that's indicative of my upbringing. I don't see this snatch it from you, we can't all rise together attitude, because I haven't been taught that, you know. And I do have to remind myself often once I read it somewhere, it's not just the Four Agreements. It's a really good book everyone should read or get familiar with. You can't walk into a situation anticipating nor expecting individuals to hold on to principles that you hold dear. Now, that's really a telling thing, especially when you interact with folks. Have not been brought up in love, and they go into survival mode, or they use people differently than you would ever consider. So I'm gonna move along to say this again. Shoo from the tennis court, because stepmama comes in and be like, you know how many times I had to pick this child up off the bathroom floor because she upset because Sadie's ain't coming. I think it's worth discussing, because we hear it oftentimes, in regards to men being absent fathers, or not coming through in their words. My friends actually don't like it when I try and relate to a family member with daddy issues, who was not actively present in the child's life, that, one time my father forgot my birthday. And then he showed up late at night, like, I don't know, it was late, with a carrot cake. Y'all, not only am I allergic to cake, I'm allergic to a few things. But carrot cake, I'm accustomed to my father throwing birthday parties for me. So as young as 3. And if you look at the pictures now, it looks like a Epstein party. Wholly inappropriate. Thank God times were simpler then, and I knew. And I have very fond memories of all of that. So I will squash anyone who brings it up. But I also make fun of it now. Like, now that I also have a little more backstory to it. Like, Daddy started throwing those parties, because it used to be jointly, him and my mother. But anywho, he started doing it on his own to prove a point to my mother that he could throw this party. It was going to be a bomb party. I'm using words from today, or a super fly party, and blah, 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 blah. Child, it was a bunch of me and my cousins. Little, all girls. And a bunch of old gray men in the background. Oh, geez. I'll never forget the very first one. It was a fish fry, and he laid out these huge, big white towels to mark our areas in the house. We couldn't play off those towels, and we had to sit on the newspaper. See, this is real Southern. I don't know if y'all do it outside the South, but when kids can't come sit at the table and everybody ain't got high chairs and all this other stuff to accommodate children in their heights, and even now, we had a kiddie table for my nephew growing up. But anyway, we sat on newspapers on the floor. Yes, not floor, flow. And we ate where that paper was. And so anyway, the party was the bomb. Let's move on to PValley and Duress. Mercedes is showing her Duress. Haley, also known as Autumn Night from the poll, is showing her Duress and what they'll do to go and pick up this money from all the check cashing and wiring places, and how that's going about. They're using different IDs, different wigs, different styles. I really like that afro hair. Like, the hair tonight was a character on its own for PValley. Because the hair that Autumn had, that afro, I thought was gorgeous. Good, very cute. I also like the purple wig that Mercedes had. And I like Clifford's ponytail. It looks super expensive. Like the kind I just wouldn't get. But look at my hair right now. Y'all, I don't even tie my hair up at night. I just like, nope, it's good enough. Let's go to bed. I don't have time to survive. Okay. So, the second part that matters, yeah, I'm looking off camera because I actually typed this up, and I should have a different laptop. Miss Katori made mention of this in one of her, like, special episodes you can see if you have the Stars app, that she doesn't write about race. She writes about place. And remember from the very first review I said, I like that they use the location as a, like, third character. It truly is. Now, this is where it's hard to tell, because sometimes these places run together, because my mama didn't like seeing that little beat up Buick Roadmaster under no conditions. And I'm like, we got them around here. I don't want to see that then either. I'm like, Lord. But the mounds, which I've actually never been in the Mississippi mounds. I've been in the ones in Illinois and Wisconsin, and they are gorgeous. The views, everything. So the indigenous people really understood, peaks, valleys, and flows. Oh, especially in the Badlands. It may look rough sometimes, but if you take a train ride, Amtrak. So we did Amtrak from Wisconsin to Seattle, Washington, and that's how I was really able to get the scope of the Dakotas and the Badland areas. It is rough out there. I mean, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to have to walk on foot. I can imagine a coyote dragging my big self to the side and having a good time. But this ain't that. This is a gorgeous allocated area with water flowing by, which says all the more why PValley has to go. I'm glad they showed us Clifford at home with Miss Loretta Devine. Oh, the music. Thank God Miss Katori Hall is out the South. Memphis, I believe, for sure. I'll look back. I know I'm getting bad at this. But Bobby Womack and Pal Peebles, the original I Can't Stand the Rain, that beat boop, when they first beat up, I told my mama, oh, they got the original. That ain't Missy Elliott sampling. And I was ready for it. But moving along, the flow really worked. Oh, and I also listened to her explain how the sister last episode was so pivotal that although they were not on scene at the strip club the entire time, she wanted to have that musical element there. So the sister who was always singing solo and who was divorcing, basically she slept with her mother-in-law. Ooh, that was some twisted stuff there. But she was a musical element. And the sister has pipes. That's not me. I can hit a tune here and there, but no. I know the stereotype. Trust me, being black, I'm in the South. I should be able to cook and sing. I can sing. I can't sing. There's a difference. And if you think I'm lying, trust me. I got enough family and church members who will let you know, oh, no, she can sing. She can hold a tune. That's that stuff I don't do the singing. So help us all. You get judged all the time about, what is black? Which I did want to discuss at some point. Excuse me for turning and looking away. I do appreciate Standy and Mama saying when Mercedes brought it to her attention, ooh, Cortez. So we learned baby daddy is Cortez. Cortez would have a problem with how things are going between Mercedes, the child Terica, and baby mama. And baby mama baby mama is Mercedes. Essentially, his former wife, his widow, who he left behind, said, Cortez ain't got nothing to say about nothing because I burnt his ass up. Now, I thought, ooh, is she admitting to the murder? Thankfully, she cleaned it up in the next step. He's sitting in the urn on the mantle. I said, I may need to use that. I'm not a fan of cremation. I have family members who have made it very clear that's what they want. I thought my mother was weird for asking for such in passing because she won't put it in writing. But my brother is adamant about he wants to be cremated. And we just buried my best friend's mother. And she was finally being cremated this week, I believe. They're so backed up with burials because of coronavirus. But it's like 2.5 weeks. And when I heard $11,000, I felt, hell, my mama may be right. $11,000, we can just set you on fire in the backyard for free. Y'all, I'm okay with that. Like, at some point, bury me on my property. Don't take me somewhere else. Go get city approval and get some permits. But $11,000 can stay in the family and keep the money going. Which brings me to Corbin, which is what his entire principle has been, which is, I don't want to sell. I want to lease the land for this casino. Brothers, come along with me. Now, Andre is impressing the brothers by knowing Confederate history. I mean, it's the U.S. history. So if you know it, you know it. But at the end of the day, they playing around with a gun, and they turn and tell Corbin, you sign first. Even my mama asked, why? I was like, child, I don't know. And I'm mad he went along with it. I would have never sat behind the desk and been like, okay, I'll sign first. But, there are some ideas behind what can you do when you feel pushed into signing a contract. Or when you feel forced into signing, like, even power of attorney documents or adding someone on to your bank account. Because, you're deemed ineligible or inept or unstable or unfit. I'm not your attorney, not your counsel, not holding myself out to be one. But duress is one of the main ways to invalidate any document. You understand? You have to consent to these things. You have to be able to get a true acceptance in place. You have to be able to document, how and why. And that's why if you ever watch Real Housewives of Atlanta, and when Candy had it set up, on video, that Todd signed that prenup on video. And Todd was all kinds of, ooh, this is extra. You got to prepare people for that. Because that could be something they later challenge and say, well, I felt forced. Yeah, we all do. If timing isn't something that was discussed ahead, if it wasn't discussed like how far in advance and someone got comfortable with the idea, it all feels forced. That's just it. And sorry, I took off my glasses. I hate the glare myself, but I can only get rid of the glare from up and at an angle. And I'm in my parents' place, so God help us with lighting. Anyway, I think Bobby Womack playing in the background, just bopping along, and it's being said, I can understand it. I can tell you for a fact, I'm finna skip ahead just a little bit. Instead of talking about Loretta Devine playing the music, I want to finish up with Corbin signing a contract under duress. So, for everything in me, Wyatt and Wayne irk my soul. They just do. Not because like they come from a place of privilege or something, because the older brother's like, well, when Corbin's discussing, well, why do you think you have what you have? You have what you have because your father, our daddy, left us this stuff, left y'all this. They want nothing with the father, according to the oldest brother. But of course, that's how it usually goes. The family that's had the most time with the daddy has complaints. The child who got to miss out has, grandiose ideas of what life could have been had he grown up with him or been acknowledged by him. But here we are, we're just making do, that kind of thing. But it bothers me that it's not a direct conversation that comes before the brother picks up the antique gun that was used at the Chickasaw Bayou battle and turns it on Corbin, the biracial child who's the outside kid. As the older brother said, well, we his real family. And I'm like, well, there you go. That's how they see you. That's how they're going to think of you. That's how they're going to digest everything about this. So with that, why would you even come around? Like, I wouldn't even be in their presence. I'm not your real family. So you stay on your side, I'll stay on my side. Corbin has the gun pulled on him. He asks the middle brother, is that loaded? He's like, what you think? He cocks it, but he doesn't want to take the risk. Andre steps in and say, I'm no family therapist, but, the sale can go much smoother. Money can be divided amongst all. And the middle brother turns the gun on attorney Andre, Morehouse man. What happened at the battle of Chickasaw Bayou? I don't know, the Confederate one? He's like, yeah, but such and such and such. To the wrong Southerners, the war ain't never over. They still fighting General Lee. Child, don't even get me started on that. I can't say what I bring to the table about all of that is Corbin shows his humanity. He's willing to sign the document in order to keep Andre safe. I'm going to tell y'all left and right. Look, I know that's one day I would have lost my life. I wouldn't have thought straight to say, let me get out of this and get home alive. I just wouldn't. But I know this, you ain't finna pull no gun on me and I ain't got no retribution for you. That just ain't what's going to happen. Yeah, I'm going to switch real fast for you. Now, I know for those who need to hear me say it in King's English or away from what you perceive as Ebonics, because it is AAVE, there is a direct lifestyle habit. It feels like codification, like it's written in laws. But even our concealed weapon permits are pretty easy to get. Like in our parish, you just walk in, pay your $27, take your photo, put your fingerprint on what's going to be your concealed weapon permit, and you're good. And you walk out. There's no background check. There's nothing additional. For places that do the background checks for when you purchase firearms, I promise y'all, they turn around so fast, I'm questioning if the feds ever really do the background checks. So weapons are a way of life. You never know who has one on them. And in my mind, and as I teach it, you should always assume the next person is carrying. Whether you believe in weapons or not, guns or not. I do have friends who have no exposure. It blows my mind. But again, even as young as kids, being sent to the car to go get money. Daddy would carry money, but he would always have a pistol with it. And we had to be taught as young as 5, before hunting, but, don't shoot yourself. Be careful when you reach in, don't pull or push the pistol. And you're like, Lord. At some point, though, now I'm old enough. I'm like, did you ever clean it? Because if you didn't, God, I'm so rusted out, we probably would have caught it a staph infection. Just rub it across it. But back to Corbin and the brothers. Corbin allows, hey, I'll sign. He signs to save Andre's life, and presumably himself. And we cut away from the brothers. We see Andre relaying this happy conversation to his wife. We learn she's a doctor in rotation. I'm assuming she's got her white lab coat. Yeah. I think maybe first or second year, because she seemed too excited about a gunshot wound. So she's not an experienced, worn vet in the ER. to be this worked up and joyful about a gunshot wound. And I get it. When you're trying to learn your craft, you're just eager to take on any of the responsibilities, the work, and the exposure. So a gunshot wound coming in, I'm pretty sure deals with a lot of vitals, being able to sew someone back up, being better about sewing people up. You'll learn when you get a C-section. Those little scars matter. And when someone can do a nice one, ooh, you can walk away being like, yeah, I like you. We'll be back. That matters. Especially now with Yelp reviews. It should matter. But anyway, ain't no way in West Hell somebody gonna pull a gun on me and I ain't got nothing to say. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Not just the words. And yes, West Hell. So for those who didn't know, because I got questioned before, I didn't know hell had directionals. I assume every place does. I don't know. I grew up with that expression being thrown at me, so I threw it out. Ain't no way you finna do that. Can we sing it in Aretha's tune? Ain't no way. I told y'all, I can't sing, I can sing. Okay, so let's go back from the order at the top, because this episode to me held a lot that was worth talking about. The fact that Bobby Womack bopping in the background opens with "I Can Understand It." And we see Miss Loretta Devine, yes, former Broadway, and every episode that we know in movies and TV shows as Auntie, is dancing in the house. Uncle Clifford is stressed, waking up with stress. And you can tell that kind of I woke up with stress because it's early. You want to sleep, but that stress wakes you up. You're like, oh, I don't want to start today, Jesus. But guess what? Uncle Clifford pushes on through, tries to go downstairs. Meemaw dancing around. Where you going? I'm trying to go to the kitchen and get breakfast. So she asks him to dance with him. I am glad, though, that it portrayed he has a loving family, or an accepting family member there. No discussion of where is his mama, but if he's living with grandma apparently used to own PValley, the building itself, and he tells her, this is why Duress comes up again. You gave me something that's about to close, and we finna lose it for good this time. How? She seems shocked and surprised. He turns and pulls out all these papers where she's taking out loans. Payday loan. Ooh, I heard payday loan, and the hair stood up on me. Let me tell you, one thing I can commend Wisconsin on. When Governor Jim Doyle was Attorney General, apparently he fought very adamantly and very direct with those rent-a-center type furniture places and payday loan places that you would not exist in the state of Wisconsin as they have been operating. Y'all, when I tell you I have heard some stories, I've had my feelings hurt, and yes, I will cry. It's such an abusive cycle. I mean, you want to talk about real trauma? That's the kind of trauma I can't imagine going to bed with, waking up with, knowing you took out $100. Now you owe $200. Then that $200 is being compounded and you end up on $2,000, or you paid back $2,000 in the course of 18 months. And I know y'all questioning, I know she lying. I wish I was. I can point to you to some exposés by like the ABCs, the major news outlets, but they are real and they do exist, and it makes sense that Miss Loretta Devine is named Miss Ernestine. So Miss Ernestine has taken out loans for different reasons over the course of owning this land. And that's one of the ways you can do it. Either those payday loans, title loans, loaning against the, everything. He pulled 4 out of one drawer and said there was more in the kitchen. And she said, no different than you. And he was like, well, I took out money for a champagne room, not a Corbin room. I cracked up. Like, they're snapping at each other. Well, you told me if I make it a pussy building, it would be able to sell more. And, in principle, it should. A shake room should make money. Even in a poor place that is the Delta or the poor cities around America. But not when you got these kind of predatory lending in effect, where the interest rates are 333%. Look at that. I'm stumbling over myself saying that. Hell, I get heart palpitations when I see a double-digit interest rate. Even if it is 29% standard on every credit card. That's why those are emergency cards that stay in a corner somewhere once the interest rate runs out. I know, it really sounds abstract. Excuse me for rubbing my nose. I don't know why, but when I'm talking, it just seems to bother me on here. Excuse me. But it's not abstract. It matters. And it matters because the money you bring in is basically like you're having to make $3 just to bring in 10 cents for yourself. You understand what I mean? Someone has to hustle that hard before they get to enjoy that 10 cent, they had to go and make $3 to give to other people. Y'all, if that ain't predatory, what you want to hear? So it makes sense, even if the mayor wasn't trying to pull a foreclosure fast one through executive order, that you have these other stymieing issues over you. Grandma Ernestine acknowledges, yeah, I signed some things I shouldn't have signed. Y'all, that's duress. I didn't understand everything. Y'all, that's truly consent and acceptance we're talking about here. So, yeah, legally, she could have a place, but who's going to take that case? And who's going to spend that kind of money to fight whatever large conglomerate she took money from? Or, locally, some people have real issues challenging folks because they know each other on a personal level. And they're embarrassed or afraid, or they don't want to hurt local people's feelings. So, either way, that's my stake, and this is why it is labeled tonight. The episode is legacy, and everybody does have a legacy. What are you leaving behind? You don't know. You don't get to write that story because you have no agency in death. You don't get to create or pursue the narrative you would like your life and your death to mean. Others get to decide what your narrative is when you die. And that's what I mean by you have no agency in death. So back to PValley, Miss Ernestine, Uncle Clifford. She noticed that phone keeps going off. Well, you need to invite them over. Who is them? Him. You need to invite him. Ain't nobody bringing nobody around here for our first date. Guess what, baby? Uncle Clifford let Lil Murda, LaQuavius in. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Uncle Clifford hair was so cute. It was just too gorgeous. I was like, that look like that expensive weave. Not $200-$300. I mean, $1,000 piece. Now, Mrs. Katori Hall, if you're watching, let us know in the comments how much that hair was, girl. And where, drop some links. Let us know. If it is a couple of hundreds, we could talk. But if it's 1,000, we have to have limitations on that. I'll buy some land first. I'm good. I'm real good. Either way, let's go on with, please remember, payday loans ain't your friend. Clifford Sales is Uncle Clifford's full name. So we learn Gidget's boyfriend or boo passing through town, he is the pill maker. And we see that Big L goes by to pick up some pills. And he asks Big L, please don't let Gidget know I'm in town. He's like, I ain't the one to let you know. My mama was more perplexed. That's a motel? I was like, clearly, it's like the hustle place. And he wants to question Big L, how you know I was up here? Like he said, everybody know what a candy man is. That ain't hard to find. I'm assuming it's not, but hey, I don't know. Sorry, I don't buy candy, and I don't go looking for them. I had to learn what grams really weigh, and it's so embarrassing. Do you remember those days having to ask other people, hey, what do I figure this out for crack? Because it really mattered in prosecuting cases and defending cases what the weight is. Because there's a personal use amount where we can get you in drug court. But, I mean, I think everybody knows this now. And then there's a larger quantity amount that means you're manufacturing it, and then an even bigger number, you're delivering it is one number, you're manufacturing and delivering is another number, and at the end of the day, weight matters. And you have to let people know, personal use may be your personal use, and you don't get to set that standard. See, this is how you get that good defense in. You got to question everything. Everybody self-medicates differently, but it's no different than like trying to put someone under for surgery. An anesthesiologist, as a doctor, can let you know, you can have someone 250 pounds, you can have someone 100 pounds, and the 100-pound person may need more than the 250 person. It's just on the body. Physiology is not something you can try and quantify, but that's how the law tries to work in these parameters of having a metrics, meaning we got to scale, a process to try and make it equal across the board. But the reason why is because of those disparity rates. When you mistreat one group of people against another, and don't give them equality or justice or don't make it equitable, then you have to go over and explain yourself. Then next thing you know, we get these mandatory minimum sentences. And this matters. I know you're like, girl, what they got to do with PValley? Everything. Because Gidget's boo is over there selling and making pills in a rundown part of town. And guess what? Big L going to try and sell some so he can help Uncle Clifford keep the place. And like Big L said, when Gidget boyfriend asked, I thought, y'all was too good for this. Uncle Clifford might be. I'm not. This is Big L doing. I was like, okay. And so he's trying to get a front so he can go make some sales and get the money to help save the place before it goes into foreclosure. I don't know if we're on the 14th day yet or 7th day. But I feel like we should be at day 14. Please let this be a continuation because next week they're going to take off and they'll be back on August 30th. So I'm at the 30-minute mark. Let me move forward so y'all can stay entertained. I'm seeing some people are clicking off at 20 minutes. I wish I could dance around and play with y'all, but this ain't that. It's after midnight. I could do this when the sunlight comes up. But I do like how Autumn, Haley, and Mercedes' relationship is blooming. They joke with each other in a way that Mercedes isn't immediately being offended by Autumn's quick comebacks. Like she said, even your silence is doing the most. She right. It is quite judgmental. But she came for her with, you crazy to hide some money in a locker? You crazy to hide some money in a church? I just knew Sage was going to get high. Like, that's my mama. You don't understand. She laughed like, okay, you got me. And guess what? She got her. So, we already talked about Wyatt and his brothers, including Corbin, and how they handled Dre with the gun. Let's go on to Dre making that call. Well, I guess not. Okay, it's going to be Ernestine meeting Lil Murda. Ernestine meets Lil Murda for the first time as a stayover. She seems like the cool grandma who acknowledges her past and don't try and be, holier than thou. Look, I done did it all. Them little girls down at the P thinking they doing something new. We was doing that before their mamas was even born. You call old people out on some of their stories like Uncle Clifford did. So you want to tell me you competed with James Brown and dancing and beat him? Look, like Ernestine said, you lead me to my stories. I'm an old lady. That's all you got at this point. Lil Murda is eating it up. Did I say Lil Murda already? But either way, Clifford pushed back against his grandma's stories. Lil Murda's enjoying it. He would be me. You invite me over, I know your people gonna like me. Boy, look, we ain't gotta be dating, we can be friends. Cause I may be the big girl, but I'm the big girl who there to have the fun. Old people love me for all the wrong reasons, cause I go along with that foolishness. I give them proper respect. You should see it just innate. It comes out of me. I follow all the unnecessary, unwritten rules for respect and honor. With that, that's exactly what Lil Murda showed. Even when he got a text, Clifford looked over, you gotta take that kind of thing. And he was like, nah, I'm good. But he told the people, which was DJ Never Scared, hey, you got studio time, where you at? I'm a slide through. I was perplexed, y'all. Help me in the comments. Why wouldn't you just go? Maybe I'm too pragmatic, but Clifford understands money has to be made. Even if you're having a good time right now, hell, you could have took Grandma Ernestine. Meemaw may be blind, but she still have there for a good time. You could have drove across town with all of them and hung out. And I know people may not be open to the relationship, but clearly Lil Murda is okay with it. Uncle Clifford is trying to hide it. Just have Uncle Clifford there as a critic. Not just critiquing, a true critic. Uncle Clifford got comments about everything. And check your emotions at the door and be like, okay, I got to make sure this looks, above board because I don't want him upset. And this is an issue tonight. I'm glad I just said him. Because I was trying to explain to my mother because she had, ooh, look at those nails. I was like, well, Uncle Clifford stays in drag. So I like this because my mother is a huge fan of Big Frida. Just is. I don't know if it's Louisiana thing, but she came to know Big Frida later than us kids. But at the end of the day, it's like with Big Frida, and I'm just so grateful for her. Frida lets you know real quick. When people say, well, what pronouns? Him, her, I don't care. Just be respectful. And that's the goal. So even with Uncle Clifford, I was explaining, well, he does wear nails, but he will take them off when he has to go handle business. Because, in the Deep South, everybody ain't open to it. So he will present as a cisgender male as possible. I'm glad Grandma Ernestine addressed it when Lil Murda talked about that picture when he was a little baby with the snagger too. And y'all, these words you're hearing on TV, it just warms my heart. Again, I say them. I interact with other individuals who say these words and idiomas, and this is our language. This is how we code switch. You just don't expect to see it on TV. I've lived long enough to be like, if it happens, it happens. But to see it and have it conveyed properly, it warms my heart. So, Snagger too. Ernestine, he came out the coochie switcher. I just said that about this little meme. Shula King was making fun of this baby walking with a diaper hanging off his butt. I was like, hell, the way he's switching, he could teach me. I'll go and do the catwalk with her. But here's the thing. So Uncle Clifford, I'm glad I mentioned nails. He went to the salon. I don't know if Uncle Clifford served in the military at some point or what, but his Korean was on point. No, I trust that was Korean, not Vietnamese. Now, you can tell me in the comments, let me be wrong, and then let me know if the translation was on point or not as well. But I ain't bounced all through Asia, but that was one of my preferred places. And I was supposed to head to South Korea to teach, and I rescinded my contract offer because I've decided, nope, I'll stay in Louisiana. I really want to help my people better than Mayor Isaiah Washington for Chucalissa. I'm okay with being the Uncle Clifford type mayor where I just help folks and we ain't even got to have these under the table hookups and this back room stuff. It's just too dangerous. But we do learn Uncle Clifford has been putting girls into the world, the working world, the established corporate world. And, you know, one of his first to graduate came in. I thought they were going to be family, like cousins or something, the way they were talking. But that's one more thing you got to give to Uncle Clifford. Apparently, you make a bond with him. He treats you like family. That's just it. And you're ongoing. It's ongoing. So, anywho, he talks to her. And that is the lady, y'all didn't catch her name tonight, but it's the assistant to the mayor. And he was like, look, I know, you know, from working in the club long enough, I don't care where you at, you keep your ears open. So she had to finally concede and come back and give Uncle Clifford some real details. I liked how all the girls, you know, huddled around her, showed her mad love, because Clifford came in like, it's money to be made tonight, ladies. Get out on the floor. But she was at the table with the Latin lady who sells the floss and the food for the night. And the girls was like, look, I'm finishing. I'm ready. My nursing program is there. I got to keep pushing, but I'm ready to wrap it up. And you did it first kind of thing. So kudos for Clifford for being able to pick out talent and keep these ladies motivated to get out of the club and make a lifelong plan. I feel like you should have that no matter what you start. It could be the bottom of the barrel, it could be the top of the mountain, but have an exit plan. Have your next step plan always rolling. Do not rest on your laurels and do not get comfortable, because once you do, when the competition comes in or somebody decides they can roll you out, what can you do? You need to have that way out. Plan for yourself. Anyway, she gives him the lowdown of, you're right. At first I was offended how they talked in front of me like I was nothing, like I was nobody. And I think more people need to hear this than who watch this show. Because I brought it up, if you've heard me say, in prior reviews. I'm amazed when attorneys get offended. Like, what did you think? You're just to help. They don't have to cuckoo to you. You're there to work for them. So you will be dismissed. You will be manhandled. I mean, it's up to you to decide how much of it you're going to take and in what capacity. Because, look, I may work for you, but you don't own me. I make that very clear, no matter where I am. And it's not about, having a dick measuring contest or a power pool or a power play. But it is about, I have my own integrity. I have my own set of principles. And I don't expect you to understand it. But I do appreciate you respecting that. And I'll respect yours. That's just it. And look, being a woman in the workforce, you learn. And again, being in the Midwest, I've been exposed to sexism in a whole nother way I never thought even existed. I'm so used to racism, child. I be confused when somebody want to be mad because I'm a woman. Or talking about I'm aggressive. What did I say aggressive? What did I do aggressive? I appreciate when brother showed up and was like, you just existed with ovaries. If y'all know that white cat, I get smudge. I get offended real. My mouth drops open. It's some words for to say. I may be shocked for 5.5 seconds, but I'm ready to talk to you. Like, what? Wait, excuse you? Did what he said was true? Oh, which brings me to, y'all, I want to talk about Stacey Abrams and Kamala Harris. Yes, so we'll swing back. If you're into that, I want to talk about the idea how women are received or perceived. PValley. I know I'm all over the place and I don't edit, so you may have tuned out. For those who are continuing, thank you. We are at 39 minutes. I want to talk about women sharing pain. Mercedes has Terica. Haley has Autumn. These are two women who are without their daughters. I can't imagine the pain, but it's obvious. We have Mississippi also as Keyshawn having her pain, which is her duress, which is everybody seems to get. Mississippi's baby daddy is the problem. You getting beat, girl. And I'm mad she's still getting beat. I thought after he came by the club to get the kids, like, they must be separated or something. And the kids ain't in the club this week. Child, I don't know. I try not to know. until people tell you their business. But I'm in a new kind of employment now. We've been trained that if a coworker comes over and tell you they get abused and beat at home, you ain't supposed to invite them to your house or go get involved. You're supposed to report that. I'm like, wait, what now? Okay, well, I'm a little more human. Girl, what you need? Because if he show up over here, we all finna go to jail. I guess it's best I can tell you. Because you can't even beat on her around me. And you ain't finna beat on me. I took all the butt whoopings I'm going to take. I'm going to tell you that in a heartbeat. But it's women sharing pain. Even Grandma Ernestine shows how she shares pain or has experienced the pain. And the pain is, not just going blind. Not to wrestle with the diabetes and the health scares. But trying to maintain that club. She explained how they, as black women, were originally forced into that area. Like, in my parish, it's called the Bottoms. It's like, well, nobody goes, but all you Negroes go over here and y'all stay over there. And that's where we throw you at the Bottoms. But it became a robust area that ultimately Caucasians started to look at like, oh, well, what those Negroes doing over there? Well, let's go and take that land. They seem to have developed it well. But you didn't want it when it was swampland and bayous and BS. That's why you gave it to us. Felt like we were inclined to have it. So now that they've made it something, as Grandma Ernestine explains, the rest of the city is losing, but theirs is still thriving. Now they want to be like, let's take it. So you can see again, these women experiencing pains at different levels. Uncle Clifford right now is having a little joy with his pain. And that pain is losing PValley and doesn't want to, but also trying to put his foot in and like stop it. The bulldozers, the people. I respect that. Don't just let somebody take something from you. You put up a fight. Uncle Clifford goes to get Patrice, believe it or not, bonded her out. What you here for kind of thing. Like he said, ain't nobody else came for you. I was confused how the high and mighty church folks want to be. You been here 9 days. If I could have left you 9 more days, who you thought was going to show up? Maybe that 20,000 could have bonded her out from that building she put in. Hey, what you want? Whatever you want. You didn't have to walk out and have a conversation with Clifford. You could have been like, I'm good. I mean, honestly, you can't. If somebody buns you out, you got to get the hell on out. That's just how the jail system works. But I'm just saying, check your pride a little bit, Sister Patrice. I ain't mad at you for always being wrong and still having pride, but man, what happened to pride? The fall, pride comes before the fall. I get saying it's really wrong, but y'all Google that and tell me what it means or what it says. But we all know it's supposed to mean like check your pride so you don't lose everything. I guess Patrice ain't heard that yet. Andre calls his wife, as I mentioned earlier. She's excited about the gunshot wound she's repairing. He points that out. And so she's like giddy. I like her hair. Either way, we move on to, they're not as, I don't know if they've been married more than 5 years. Or maybe this is the first year. That's the only time I can accept when you start to have problems with marriage. You'll see it in year 5, for one, year 5 through 7. Then somehow 10 smooths out if you ain't divorced already. So it's like, I get it. She's questioning, well, what does your godfather, because he brought it up. He switched the sale from a sale to a lease. You can see he's trying to help Corbin in, like, Corbin saved me, let me try and help save Corbin. But the way he presented to his wife, he saved the company mega millions. So even if he saved them mega millions, and he was like, well, I think, Godfather's going to be pissy. Okay, why? In my mind, at this point, Isaiah Washington just sees it as, I want the deal done. That's what I heard him say. Didn't y'all hear that last episode? Okay, so what you complaining for? At the end of the day, I'm confused, but he cut that video chat short. Do you hear me? And I agree with him on this part, because he said, well, this is my home. I care. She's like, no, Atlanta's your home. I have people who've been in my life who said the same. My hometown is my home. Now, we can get into domicile, we can get into residency, but let me help you understand. My tax money comes to my home. I understand how people try and relegate you to what they believe you should fit in. And I get, to some extent, she's a little different because she's doing that out of love for the purpose of, I'm your wife, I'm here in Atlanta, your life is here in Atlanta. This is home. That's not home. But I also get what he's saying. When you have an opportunity to help at home, you want to. And I really know that's something I anticipate. It's no different than Kamala Harris being questioned in her blackness in so many ways. It's no different than someone questioning me And, well, is that really your home? Nigga, I sleep here, don't I? But more importantly, I pay taxes right here. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry if you don't understand how paperwork works. I'm sorry if you don't understand the law and the, confines we got to push within. But it's home. It's home in hearts. It's home on paper. It's home legally. It's home financially. It's home. And I don't know how else to tell it to you. It meets the home check boxes at every capacity. Now, while I'm trying to find a home at home, that's a whole nother story. Yeah, I know, right? I really do need to find a home. So, bow-legged hustler seeing Haley's missing persons poster made me question. Is he gonna rat her out to Montavious? That's Haley's prior old pimp, old baby dad, old boyfriend from Houston. Or is he gonna announce it to Haley and Mercedes? Like, yo, there's a picture floating around for you. We get to see insight to next week, how that'll play out, with Keyshawn being Lil Murda's beard. More bruises show up on her. And at some point, I don't know. I know people feel like that's not my situation to get involved in. I'm not a Karen. But to see this woman walk around with bruises and she always got a baby, it's like, girl, you want to come just stay with me for a little bit? Give yourself a break. That's the best I can say. Because you can't tell people to leave. I mean, if you really work with DV cases, domestic violence cases, telling people to leave is not the thing to do. But you can make an offer. Offer to help in the capacity you're comfortable helping. It's on them to take it or not. So, either way, looks like Mississippi and Diamond's going to get a kiss in. Hey. I called it, y'all. First episode, they made it plain. They wasn't trying to hide it. I told y'all, I like how Miss Katari Hall puts out Easter eggs. Those Easter eggs come to life. They crack open. She don't be just teasing us. And we ain't got to wait till like 2 seasons later to find out what it is. Hey. Old dude finds Haley. Lord knows Montavious is in the club, and Haley looks like she walked up on him based on the previews for the next episode. Yes, this time I hung around long enough to see that. Mercedes has a final dance, whether she wanted it or not. I don't know how Keyshawn gonna feel about it or not, but I do appreciate Keyshawn's business savvy or social media savvy, primarily because it fails in my capacity. I'm more of an operations person. I can tell you what to do. I don't know. If I don't know how to do it, though, I'll go teach myself. See, and I'm not gonna lie to you and say, okay, nope. Even for my direct reports, I say, let me find out, and I'll get back to you. Let me look into that, and I'll research that, and I'll follow up. Circle back in 15 minutes. That's just my mantra. I don't have to know it, but I will find out. Keyshawn seems to be caught off guard with Mercedes dancing based on the preview. So the question I have tonight, and I'm sorry y'all, it's at 47 minutes. Hopefully you enjoy hearing everything. Did y'all eat pickles and peppermints growing up? Will you still eat them? Chico sticks? You tell me. Oh, Lord. I wish they even played that little rap song with my Chico stick. Hey, Chico stick. It was a child. What was that? Like 06, 05 when that song came. Child, I still got it on CD. Number 18. I played it. It came out with like, is that Brooke Valentine's? I hit that bitch with a bottle. I don't know. There's certain songs you just gotta hear. You hear what I'm saying? So I heard that as soon as she was sucking on that Chico stick or breaking into it. What y'all think Clifford gonna be able to pull out of Sister Patrice Woodbine? She gonna get together some voters. It'd be nice to see her do some community organizing in the name of the Lord. Better than stealing from her child. Hopefully Terica gets the help she needs. I'm confused and perplexed why stepmama ain't buying no therapy for that child. And then I don't understand why they don't have family therapy. I would trust Mercedes to leave with her. If she was willing to let Mercedes spend the weekend with the child, be like, hey, once a week, you can have her. And you have her and go to therapy. Touche for Terica speaking of being like, I ain't like cheerleading and dance like that. I just want to hang out with you. I can see that a child longs for their parent. I don't care what that parent did. A child wants their parent and wants to be in the presence of their parent at all times. Love is love for their child, and it's important. So what you think? How you think Haley gonna be able to pull this off? Because she told Andre goodbye, talking to him from the mounds. And we don't need to see each other before I go. But somehow she in the club dancing next week. So actually on August 30th. Skip that, not next week. Anyway, I guess I could have broke this up and made it 2. One for today and then one for next week. But I promise you this episode had a lot. Hopefully I'll be back. I'm going to cut it off.